He killed 1,000 men with the jawbone of a donkey. He ripped a lion in half with his bare hands. He brought down an entire temple with a single push. His strength was legendary, but so was his downfall. This is the epic, tragic, thrilling story of Samson, the strongest man who ever lived, and the warning he left behind for us all. You've heard about superheroes, but what if I told you the Bible had one of its own? A man chosen before birth, gifted with supernatural power, destined to save his people. But unlike most heroes, Samson's greatest battle wasn't against his enemies. It was against himself. This is not just a story of strength, it's a story of pride, passion, betrayal, and redemption. Stay with me, because you've never heard the story of Samson told quite like this. Our story begins not with Samson, but with a promise. But God, as he often does, had a plan. He appeared to a barren woman, the wife of a man named Manoah, and told her something miraculous. You will have a son, and he will begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines. But there was a condition. This boy would be a Nazirite from birth. No wine, no unclean food, no razor would touch his hair. He would be set apart, holy, a living weapon. And so Samson was born, not just as a child, but as a promise. Samson grows, and soon his strength becomes unmatched. One day, while walking through the vineyards of Timnah, a young lion charges him. And what does Samson do? He tears it apart with his bare hands, as easily as if it were a young goat. This wasn't just strength, it was divine, and Samson knew it. But with great power comes great pride. Samson sees a Philistine woman in Timnah and demands she be his wife, not because of love, not because of faith, but because, in his words, she pleases me well. At the wedding feast, Samson tells a riddle to 30 Philistines based on his encounter with the lion. If you solve it, he says, I'll give you 30 sets of clothes. If not, they owe him instead. They can't solve it. So what do? They threaten his new wife, and she tricks Samson into revealing the answer. Furious, Samson kills 30 men in another town just to pay his debt. And just like that, the spark of revenge is lit. Samson's rage only grows. When he finds out his wife was given to another man, he catches 300 foxes, ties torches to their tails, and releases them into the Philistine fields, burning their crops to ashes. The Philistines retaliate. Samson strikes back. The cycle of revenge spirals out of control. Eventually, the Israelites, his own people, come to him and say they hand him over to the enemy, tied in ropes. But when the Philistines shout in triumph, the Spirit of the Lord comes upon Samson. He snaps the ropes like thread, grabs a donkey's jawbone, and slays 1,000 men in a single battle. One man, one jawbone, 1,000 soldiers. This was no ordinary warrior. Samson was a force of nature. But here's the truth about strength. It can become your greatest weakness if you think you're invincible. Samson starts to believe his power is his own, that nothing can touch him. He visits a prostitute in Gaza, and the Philistines set a trap. But at midnight, Samson simply rips the city gates out of the ground and carries them away. Then enters Delilah. Now this part you may know. But let's look closer. Delilah wasn't just any woman. She was a hired weapon, offered a massive reward by the Philistine lords to uncover the secret of Samson's strength. 3 times, she asks. 3 times Samson lies. But she wears him down. Day after day, she nags, she weeps, she manipulates. And finally, Samson breaks. He tells her, no razor has ever touched my head, for I have been a Nazirite to God from my mother's womb. If my hair is cut, my strength will leave me. And so, while he sleeps, she shaves his head. And when the Philistines rush in, Samson tries to fight. But the power is gone. The strongest man in the world is now the weakest. The Philistines seize him. They gouge out his eyes. They drag him in chains to Gaza. And he is forced to grind grain like an ox, humiliated, broken, blind. This was rock bottom. But in that darkness, something began to grow. Not just his hair, but his faith. For the first time in his life, Samson began to look up. And that leads us to the final act. The Philistines gather in a massive temple to celebrate Samson's defeat. 3,000 people pack the roof. They bring him out to mock him. Blind and bound, Samson asks the servant to place him between the pillars, and in that moment, he prays, "O Lord God, remember me. Strengthen me just once more, that I may take revenge on the Philistines for my eyes." Then, with all his might, he pushes. The pillars crack, the roof collapses, the temple falls, and Samson kills more in his death than he ever did in his life. Samson's story is thrilling, but it's also tragic. He had everything: divine strength, a special calling, supernatural gifts, but he squandered it chasing lust, pride, and revenge. Yet in his final moments, he found redemption. God didn't use him because he was perfect. God used him despite his flaws. And that's the lesson for all of us. You may have messed up. You may feel like you've wasted your gifts. But if Samson could find redemption in the end, so can you. God's not finished with you. Even in your weakness, he can still be strong. So ask yourself, are you using your strength for yourself or for something greater? Thanks for watching this epic story of Samson, the strongest man in the Bible. If this inspired you, share it with a friend, hit that like button, and subscribe for more cinematic journeys through the Bible's most powerful stories. Drop a comment below. What part of Samson's story hit you the hardest? Until next time, stay strong and stay faithful.